Well, after scouring this area for several hours, the search and rescue teams managed to find these two bumpers of a vehicle. And what investigators are now doing is to compare the data dots to the VIN number to try and establish if the parts right here behind me are the parts of the vehicle that the police have been looking for. And this is the vehicle that the three police officers whose bodies were found in the Hennops River were traveling in. What we also understand is that the team, which had been working for hours, they brought in a specialized equipment. You'd recall at first a police chopper had been brought in to look over this area, and that's how one of the bodies, they managed to find one of the bodies. And some drones were also brought in, and subsequently the divers continued to search the Hennops River. Where we are at this stage is a bit down from where the bodies themselves had been recovered. And these two bumpers, it's a front and a rear bumper. What we're also hearing from police is that they also found a reflector jacket belonging to one of the deceased police officers. That is Constable Linda. We've also learned from police that they've also informed the families of the deceased about the latest discovery. But what police will now be doing, we hear that while the search and rescue team had been searching the river, they also found a heavy piece of metal that seems to be trapped underneath the sand in the river. What they will now do is try to investigate whether that heavy metal which they have found is the actual car itself, the car that these police officers had been traveling in.
Our police divers use wader sticks when they search for objects in water or in rivers. So that particular wader stick felt a metal object. So we believe that it could be the vehicle that we are looking for, because 150 meters from there we found a police reflector jacket with the name of Constable Linda. So we've also recovered a front bumper and a back bumper of a vehicle. So what the analysts are doing, they are collecting the data dots and they're seeing if they can link the vehicle parts to the vehicle that we are looking for. The vehicle has not been found, but our divers felt what could be a metal sound, and they heard what could be a metal sound. So they are thinking that the vehicle could be covered by a lot of debris. So it tells us there's still a lot of work to do, but that particular operation had to be abandoned because it's quite dark, it's risky, but we will continue with this particular operation. We have informed them. The Provincial Commissioner of the Free State was informed during our meeting with the Minister earlier this afternoon. She then sent a team to go personally inform the families, each family, that we may have found the vehicle that we have been looking for.
The whereabouts of the vehicle that they were traveling in had been a major a question when the families had visited the scene. They'd asked police about how far the investigations had gone into finding the vehicle, and at the time that they visited the scene, police were still trying to comb this particular area to see if they could find the vehicle. But at this particular stage, investigators now will be making some comparisons to see if indeed these bumpers right here behind me, the rear and the back bumper, is indeed that of the vehicle that the police officers were traveling. This will certainly come as somewhat a relief to the families if indeed this is a positive find, in that they've been asking questions about what could have possibly happened to the vehicle. There'd been speculation that after the vehicle had gone over the embankment, it might have moved downstream due to the heavy rains that we saw sometime last week. But
yes, that's what we suspect is the vehicle, because they moved for a reasonable distance or space, which the size make us believe it might be the vehicle, of course. I went there to the scene with the team just to check and verify where exactly and what's happening, and we could see immediately if that metal is removed, the water that is flowing there, the speed and the amount of water, it's very, very I'll say not safe for divers to get in and for anyone to be in that space at this time of the night, especially with the lighting that is not so well. There's no lighting at all because it's in the middle of the river, in middle of trees and shrubs. Therefore, it's not safe.
Certainly, this would be welcome news for these distraught families who now have to pick up the pieces. Criselda Lewis, SABC News at the Hennops River in Centurion.